Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Heavenly Parent Holy Community Oceania Hundoke. And today we have Randall Apps sharing with us. And today is Sunday, the 26th of September or the 20th of August in the 9th year of Chongluk. Let's begin by offering a bow to our Heavenly Parents and true parents. Chumbe. Hello. And let's recite our family pledge, both in Korean and English. Thank you.
가전맨세 3. 전위국 주인, 우리 가족은 참 사랑을 중심하고 4대 심정권과 3대 왕권과 환조권을 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다.
Family pledge number 3. Our family, the owner of Chongluk, pledges to perfect the 4 great realms of heart, the 3 great kingships, and the realm of the royal family by centering on true love. And let's like to ask Reverend Ito if you could offer the opening prayer, please.
Our loving Heavenly Parents and parents of heaven, us and humankind, we're so grateful in this occasion that the special 6 months condition actually we're doing under the True Mother's direction to reunification of North-South Korea for the realization of heavenly unified Korea. Now we in Oceania and under the region of Asian Pacific too, we are mobilizing toward the Asian Pacific Karachi Leadership Conference. And each nation has doing our best to contact the religious leaders as well as the other VIPs, and the top, we include top VIPs, and mobilizing members in the societies and media communities, the whole society together toward the reunification of unified Korea, as well as our unification of the Oceania and our region. In this special moment, each one of us must grow up at the same time. Always God providence is total purpose and also individual purpose joined together. So we utilize this occasion to our growing, our life of faith and our ability of spirituality and understanding divine principle, understanding true parents, and understanding God. We so appreciate this every morning. We hear the true parents' word and God's word through this Hunduke, and we more and more understand about you, heavenly parents, and the true parents, and as well as God's providence. Thank you so much. Please guide together today with Reverend Yutaka Yamada, our regional director, sub-regional director, and together with all our leaders and members. Thank you so much. Let's pray. The President of the Family, NHK Koito, I report to you. Aju, amen.
Aju. Thank you. Let's offer a warm welcome to Randall as he shares with us this morning. Thank you. Need to unmute.
Just looking for a couple of things. Excuse me a second. I smile.
Got in your pocket?
Yeah.
Got it?
Everyone can hear us.
That's it.
Excuse me while I dash down the beach. Okay. I was hoping to give my testimony today, but because we've been talking about the providence in Latin America, then I wanted to go to look at the providence in Brazil. So this is the best way to find it. Okay, no, not that one. Okay. And share this. Okay. All right. Thank you for that. With the whole thing with the providence of what was going on with Jardim, then there was a few different things. Actually, I should start with the talk that Father gave, starting off with Brazil, and that was the first Jardim declaration. So I hope you can see this okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So the first being Hunduk, I'll give a bit of Hunduk of Father's words. The first Jardim declaration: absolute faith, absolute love, and absolute obedience. Today, the world is confronted with serious human crisis of sexual immorality, family breakdown, and surge of individualism. In addition, environmental pollution threatens life's very existence on this one and only planet, or Earth. In our human relationships, we need now more than ever a movement practicing love and mutual cooperation. With regards to nature, it is urgent that we begin a movement to love all creation and to protect and conserve the environment. Religious people, in particular, must lead this movement. From the early days, true parents taught that unless one loves nature, which was created by human beings, one cannot claim to love people. And unless one loves people who are created to be the true children of God, one cannot say that he loves God. It is nature that whoever loves God will love people. It is natural that whoever loves God will love people who were created to be God's children. Hence, one cannot claim to love children. One cannot claim to love people and God unless he loves nature, which was created for people. So there was a few things there that the problems that Father sees are sexual immorality, family breakdown, and surge of individualism, and environmental pollution. So these things were a focus for one cannot claim to love people and God unless one loves nature, which was created for people. In an ideal society, I'll give you the link for this later on. I'll just skip to, using the highlighted parts. In an ideal society, people will transcend national and racial boundaries, establish mutual cooperation and harmony, and live together happily. They'll be fully conscious of being God's sons and daughters and existing as one great extended family. You can hear me okay, can you?
Yeah.
I'm hearing some buzzes and things at the moment.
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay, fine. So existing one great extended family, a world of freedom, peace, and unity. All people will share God's culture of heart and coexist and join interdependence, mutual prosperity, and universally shared values. Now, how often have we heard this in the Rally of Hope? This world will have no corruption, injustice, war, or crime. People will eliminate the causes of environmental pollution and will protect and love all things of creation as true owners. In this model, ideal world, all of life's activities and labours will be expressed through the practice of joyful service for the sake of others, based on a heart of love, which will equalise our standard of living. And that is another big aspect there, equalise our standard of living. That is part of the reason for Jardim as it came up. On the foundation of blessed families, we will deploy the advances of technology for the sake of education. The education of heart and morality will have priority over academic education, physical education, and technical education. Education primarily will serve to raise up people of goodness who follow heaven's way. The realization of such an ideal can happen only on the basis of true parents' thought and teaching of true love for the sake of others. Through the fall, Adam lost his faith, so the destiny of people is to pass through the way of restoration that includes absolute faith, absolute love, and absolute obedience. God established religion for this purpose. And I hadn't really seen that God had really established religion himself before, but here is Father saying that in this way. Okay, moving on to true parents came to embody absolute faith, absolute love, and absolute obedience. Through this, they brought victory in the severe battles they faced, not only on earth, but also in the spirit world. True parents are now bequeathing their victorious foundation to us. We must imitate the tradition of true parents in our life and our life practice, thereby resembling the way true parents love the world, all things of creation, humankind, and God, so we can establish the model ideal nation. At New Hope Farm, we are trained to practice precisely these things. On this farm, we can show humankind a model of how to rid the world of war, hunger, and crime, and how to live in happiness and peace. Okay, so when I first got, thank you for that. When I first got to the farm in Brazil, I was told there's 3 reasons that the New Hope Farm has come up. One was it's a farm. It wants to teach people how to do business. No matter how small an area you have around you, if you live in a small area and you've got, just a small, only a backyard, if that even, can you use that land to develop something, even a worm farm, to sell something to fishermen? If you can do some kind of farming activity in an area, that means that you're not dependent on a boss to make enough money so that he can pay for his own family and then have a little bit left over that he can pay for you. Because the poverty, the hunger that is around in the world is around because there's an inequality of being able to support people. And to feed the world was really one of Heavenly True Father's big headaches. He really wanted to serve the different people. We know that, don't we? You're aware, I take it, of some of the different things that Father has done to include feeding a lot of the people around of the world. And so the Jardim effort was a big activity, actually, to cure the world hunger. I'm going to go back to that other thing that I was sharing before. Okay. So, let's see. Okay. So I'm not sure what you can see on your screen. Is it true father and mother with the parrot there? Okay, good. So these are just some things from New Hope Farm. It was to be a farm, but also when you work with the land, when you work with nature, and this was something that came out from Father's speech as well, you have to love the environment. So with the farm on New Hope Farm, then we would eat a third of what we grow. And so we were self-sufficient. We weren't dependent on, buying things from outside. The only thing we bought from outside was basically the rice and sugar. And everything else, we were producing it on the farm. So we would be able to eat up to a third of that. A third was for sale, and so that we could actually create the business. And then a third was leave it on the trees. Leave the fruit on the trees. Because that way it attracts nature. It attracts the birds. It attracts the monkeys. It attracts all these different things. And that's a whole different thinking from a lot of the different different businesses out there. So at the time, you see those orange huts in the background, like maybe like I don't know if you're familiar with the Tambourine Valley, what was that called? The New Hope Valley garden that we had. James was working there.
Angela Nursery.
Yes, right. So that nursery had a lot of these different things. And inside, we actually built those for, the left one was the sister's room, the right one was, the middle one was the brother's room, and the right one was actually a stage that was used for Sunday service and things like that. And so in future photos, you will see some of the places when Father was giving different services there. This is, when we started, we had to have members come from about 16 different countries. They were the countries that Mother visited for a talk. And so Australia had to send up to 3 members, and he's the Japanese representative who had a American wife. And so he came along complete with his family. We were hearing that it was like 3 months or something that we would be staying there. And so I was happy to just come as I was type of thing, even though my daughter was only just born, and see about how, so I'm just looking at the chat as well. So there were different nationalities, including Eastern Europe for the first time for me to work with. I had never worked with, people who grew up in communist countries. So we had Czech, we had Slovakia, we had Slovenia represented there as well. So this was a place right next to rivers, as you probably heard before. And so there was a lot of fishing that goes on when Father and Mother came. And a lot of the, even international leaders were saying that this was the most relaxed he had ever seen Father and Mother, well, Father especially. You'd never see him in a suit. You'd never see him in a tie. You'd sometimes see him in shorts. And it's like, okay, this is different. But both Father and Mother grew up in farming communities. And so when the chickens got underneath his cabin at night and clucking away and things like this, and, for some people it's like, oh, the noise, I can't sleep. And for him, it's like getting back to his childhood. So it was a real relaxing time for Father. This was actually, I was meant to get there in May 1995. I wasn't able to get there until end of September, which was just after my daughter was born. And so, I was actually meant to stay for 3 years. So there was building a farm, a business, building it environmentally friendly by leaving the fruit on the trees as well. But the third, and so basically we're building up Eden too. We're building up an environment which is blissful for the nature. It is economically viable. It is, latest technology to be able to work in nature, in relation with nature, and to be able to teach people how to make money as well, and to get out of poverty. But who can live there? Who can live in Eden? Who is eligible? Who has the right to actually, live in paradise, heaven on earth? Who has that right? So the third thing was the education. And it was the most self-analyzing time that I had been through. Every time you're in check there, it's like, okay, this is Eden I'm living in. My thoughts, my line of thoughts and things like this, are they right? The things that I'm saying, are they right? My actions, are they right? And it's really a challenge to be able to, relate to that. So True Father did a lot of fishing. We were basically told, when you see Father in a fishing spot, don't disturb him. And there was one time, a little bit of Father and Mother were there for about 50 days in a 100-day period. Now, normally when you go to some backwater type area, you don't see true parents. But when Father has a project going, he wants to see how it's going. He's, given some direction, and then when he sees that things are going right, then he'll come in and have a hands-on type of relationship there. Also, I don't know if you remember, once upon a time, there was a spiritualist who said, I, got this impression, or got this dream, got this prayer, that True Father is actually going to go to spirit world. We have to pray for him. And there was a time back in the 90s when we were praying like from 40 minutes from midnight or something like that. Do you remember that time? Did some of you join in those type of prayers, praying for true parents and their safety? Okay. That was actually the end of 95 through to the first couple of months, or 3 or 4 months of 96. That was when I was on the farm. That was when Father was on the farm for about 50 out of 100 days. Basically, you were praying for me to make sure that I'm protecting Father. So if I'm wondering, am I eligible to live in Eden? I'm also thinking I'm the one that really has to be willing to, put my life on the line to protect Father. So one time he was fishing in the boat about this distance away from me, as far as the photographer was away from Father there. And a Brazilian boat comes up, a fisherman, a couple of guys, and they come up and they're drunk. And they stop, just a boat length away from True Father. That's the president of the farm standing up there in the red shirt. And also there was one other person, I think it was Father's secretary. Anyway, these drunks started talking to Father. And, Father's direction is basically don't have give and take, just ignore them type of thing. One of the guys was actually, able to speak Portuguese. But anyway, he just followed Father's direction and didn't say anything. And so when I called out to these drunks and said, hey, they're tourists. They don't understand Portuguese. And I said this in Portuguese. And so anyway, they started the boat up and came over towards where I was and says, oh, okay, so do you speak Portuguese? And so we're having a conversation in Portuguese. And I said, well, I speak Spanish. And he was so drunk he couldn't work out that we were talking in Portuguese. And he says, oh, I don't speak Spanish. So started up the boat and took off again. he just went away. But Father gave me a huge smile that, you know, in just basically 2 sentences, I was able to get rid of this guy. So yeah, he gave me a big smile at that time. There was a time with the parrots. So it wasn't just that these parrots came by themselves. At one stage, the farm president bought a $300 or $400 parrot, a green parrot, and he hand fed it for a week. And then after a week, he opened up the cage and let it fly away. And everyone's like, you just paid $300 or $400 for this thing. Why are you doing that? And it just disappeared. It just flew off for 3 days. And then that parrot came back with 5 more parrots. It had never received more love than it did on the farm there. And so these green parrots were around, and we thought, wow, that's really good. And then he came back with this red parrot, which was like $800 or $1,000. And he did the same thing. He just let it fly away. And we were like, oh my gosh. But it came back with a second parrot. And, you know, within a couple of years, there was like 5 of these $1,000 parrots that were just hanging around the mango tree outside the cottage. Oops. Okay. So we were all in these orange igloos, these greenhouses. But Truth Parents had the old farmer's cottage there. And so this is kind of like, it's pretty basic when you're thinking for the Messiah, what you want to, you know, set up for the Messiah. And so that was their room in the cottage. I didn't actually go in there myself. This is how we built the things. We got bamboo, stripped it down to like a quarter or an eighth of the siding, made sure that it was nice and smooth so that it wouldn't rip the plastic, and then we built the ribbing and the structure around. So let's see. So these are from England, from I think he's Slovakian, and I think he's from Argentina. So there's a few different nationalities that were there. But yeah, these were some of the basic things that we were doing. We built the buildings, we built the roads, we built the fences. We had, what kind of farming would you like to do? Would you like to learn if you were educated there? So we had herbs, we had vegetables, we had like fruit like watermelon, which grew on the ground, and fruit like mangoes that grew on, you know, 60-foot trees. We had several different types of fruits. Then we had the different type of crops, such as corn and sugarcane, and we had sweet potato, but we also had this thing called mandioca, which is another starchy potato type of plant. So we had all different type of crops like that. Then we had the animals, from worms for the fishing. We had chickens and turkeys. We had sheep. And it was the main thing for that was, this was cattle country around Brazil. And that is one of the lowest income type areas. At one stage, though, Mother was talking about how the finance was really tough for the people. That's because at one stage, if you had 100 cows on your property and you need at least 1 acre per year on average for the cow, so you needed to own 100 acres. If you had 100 cows, you could survive and, you know, break through easily. It was no problem. And so people had, you know, these big ranches. This one had 300 acres. Then the economy kicked in. There was less money paid for the meat to the farmer, and the money didn't buy as much. The inflation kicked in. And so at that stage, you needed at least 300 cows to be able to survive. So the bigger places, they were fine, but the places that had 100 acres, they were starting to feel the pinch. They couldn't survive with just 100 cows anymore. They needed 300. And so some of them, to make up the shortfall, will be selling part of their property. And then the finance got worse. And by 1996, when I was still there, you needed at least 500 cows to be able to survive, you know, make a decent income for your family. And all these farms around, they were, you know, slowly selling off more and more of their land to make up the shortfall. And they couldn't work out, you know, how they can get the finance there for their homes. And so when they heard about, why is this international millionaire, this controversial religious figure, buying land in our area? And they were scared. They didn't know what was happening. So when the corn was ripe on our farm, they said, okay, so what should we do? Should we just put it in bags and then take it off to the town and sell it there? And I said, how about we do a carnival of corn, so that we can invite people down and they can experience a little bit of the farm and learn a little bit as they come and buy the corn themselves. And the president took it a step further, and he did, I think I told you a few days ago, he went around and said, okay, how do they make corn in your country? How about yours? What kind of recipes do they have for yours? And we had about 27 different plates. And Tim was great there. Tim Anania was with us, and he had several different recipes that he brought up with it as well, corn pancakes and things like that. And so we were able to open up the farm for all the leaders of the farm, the leaders of the town, the mayor, the teachers, the doctors, different business leaders. They were all coming down as well. And they would, you know, join in the festivities. And they were able to go back and tell people, this is really good. And the education level as well is good as well. Now, this is the biggest birthday party you've ever seen, actually. This doesn't look like a very big birthday party, does it? You know why it's so big? This is how I celebrated my daughter's birthday. One of my daughters. So on the, you can see the date down there. So this birthday extended from Geelong, Australia, through to Jardim, Brazil. And so it's the biggest birthday party you've probably ever seen. I made sure that, you know, for one of my daughters, we had a cake. For another one, on her birthday, I made sure that we had pizza on the farm. It was the only time we had pizza on the farm, but I made sure that they were having pizza in Geelong while we were having pizza in Brazil, so that we could have the biggest birthday party for her. These are some of the other members there. So from Japan, from England, she's Brazilian, she's from Austria. I think she's one of the Jacob children. Not sure where he was from, sorry. But education was a big thing as well. And so when Father heard about that carnival of corn, that's when he came down himself. And he was there for just before Christmas. And then he was there for Christmas as well, 95. Then he went off and he came back for just after his birthday with basically all the national leaders around the world. He said, who wants to come fishing with me? Oh, great, okay. By the way, when you fish with me, there's something else you have to do. You have to give your testimony. And he got some of the biggest names in the church to give their testimony to us little farm hands there in Jardim, because the education was important for us to grow. And so he had, Father was giving different guidance each day. He was there as well. And then there'd be different hunduk, that's Father's secretary. But we got some of the most awesome people in the church at the time to come along. This guy, he was an English teacher in China. Officially, that's what he was doing there in China. He was an English teacher in China back in 95, 96. Now, a lot of the Eastern Bloc countries had opened up, but not China. So he was basically an underground missionary in China. And we had an underground missionary come, and he was translating for Father at that time. That's why he was there beside Father. But yeah, we had some of the most awesome people around. Oh, by the way, can you see that sign behind? Saranghaeyo, Saranghaecha. You'll see the rest of the sign later on, but I had to make all these signs as well. That I was a bit of a graphic artist, and so I was asked to do the signs whenever true parents arrived at the farm. So this is the size of the place. This is how, you know, just the number of people we have around, and you can see Tim in the back there. There was, sorry, I've got everybody's face here in front of the picture, so I can't see it. So American, Brazilian, Austrian, Italy, Canadian. He was actually a farmer in Canada, so he knew more than a lot of the others. That Japanese brother there was working in Los Angeles, so he's the American for the farm. Colombia, a few around. But you can see out the back there, you know how there's, you know, the different buildings all around the place when there was the workshop? No, there was no buildings at that time. The only building was the wooden cottage, the old farmhouse. This, by the way, is Arturo from Argentina. He translates between Spanish, Portuguese, English, and Korean. So he was a big asset there. Oh, that was another thing when Father was there. Did you ever hear about the soccer team in Korea? Father wanted to give them international experience. He brought them to play against Brazil and Argentina. And am I allowed to give you a secret on the tactics that Father got the coach to tell? There was this is a small Asian country that had never been in the World Cup basically before. It didn't have the experience of international, games except within Asia. And now they want to go on to be in the World Cup. So Father gave the soccer team, the coach for the soccer team, a few different tactics. One was be fast. Have the fastest players. And so look to, build up the speed. And for soccer, you're just, moving around in your own little, 10-foot area. And there's no need to be fast. You don't have to go anywhere. It's just, pass the ball to the next person if you want to get something, moving forward fast. But Father was, no, they have to be fast. Second thing was short passes. If you do short passes, then it frustrates the other team because you're not putting the ball at risk so much. You're doing the short pass and you're more likely to, get to the person that you're passing the ball to. And the other team that's, spread out wide, ready to, play the game, but they're seeing, I can't be out wide. I have to move in close because they're doing short passes. And if they're moving in close, you know what that does? It leaves huge gaps. And if they leave huge gaps, you can put the ball over their head and then the fastest person will get to it. And who's the fastest person? That was rule number one. So they get to the ball quickly. And third aspect was when you're in front of the goal, keep you cool. So there's a lot of practice that you kick goals from any angle. And so it's natural. it's an experience for you. You don't just, you know, kick from in front, you kick from anywhere type of thing. And you've got the discipline, you've got the experience, you've got the practice to kick the goal and kick it calmly. Because there's other teams, they get the guy right in front of the goal and, you know, they miss because they're too excited. So to get those three things really was a challenge for the Latin Americans. So they played against Brazil and Argentina. They beat Brazil. And when they went down to Argentina, well, maybe not the A team of Brazil that they played against. They put their reserves in or something like this, but Brazil was shocked. They did not expect, you know, such a great, you know, score against them from such a, you know, unknown team. And when they went to Argentina, they had one of their A-line guys that they brought in at halftime because they were losing. And even the radio commentators, because Arturo was on the farm at that time, father was on the farm, and we were listening to the broadcast in Spanish, and Arturo was translating for them. And even the radio commentators, the Argentinian radio commentators were saying, the ref's cheating. He's giving penalties to the Argentinians, you know, cheating, you know, against a lowly team. Why are they doing that? And so anyway, father was really impressed with the way that they went. It was a draw on that time. But yeah, father would be giving the sermons to us, giving lectures to us. Oh my gosh, he stared straight at me. This was awesome. And you can see a bit more of the sign in the back there of what it's all about. Champumonim. Saranghe. True parents, we love you. And to see father so relaxed all the time. Oh, when father fished, he would have like 5 to 7 fishing rods in front of him. And mother would have another 3 fishing rods in front of her. So whoever was attending True Parents at that time, and I had to do that at one stage, you know, just keeping on continuously baiting the hooks whenever they, you know, lost the bait. But they were just so relaxed. And this was them singing for the members. May have been singing for the members. Maybe they were just singing for themselves. And, you know, it was just such a natural, relaxed. It wasn't for the audience. Sometimes you think, oh, is father just, you know, doing this for the, no. There was so much, you know, so much harmony there. This was how the veranda was set up for having meals for the for True Father, for the farm leaders. And you can see out the back there, that goes straight out to, actually it went straight out to where the campfire was. So for Christmas in 95, the Japanese team leader said, no, this is just another day. We have to show father that we're working here, so we're just going to work. And some of the True family were there as well. And it was kind of like, we didn't have a Christmas. It was just, you know, so, you know, nothing as far as Christmas. It wasn't a special day at all. So that evening, myself, Tim, and that Austrian sister that you saw, we were sitting around the campfire singing Christmas carols. And then I said, oh, I want to sing a song by myself because I had heard this was mother's favorite song. So this is a secret that Australian members heard because when True Father came to fish in Cairns, then mother says, oh, could you sing Danny Boy for me? Okay, now you sing Danny Boy. Says, okay. And she asked about 5 brothers to sing Danny Boy. Members were like, what is this? So anyway, I said, oh, let me sing a song by myself. And I started singing Danny Boy. But just as I was asking this, father had called over the farm president and gave him some instructions. So he was coming over to gather all the members and he was going to stop the music. And then mother heard what I was singing. And so father grabbed him and said, no, wait. And they waited until after I finished singing Danny Boy before they went on. And then we had a youth match. So Oh, they're the fish that Mr. Rai was looking at, that we'd been screenshotted because I'm moving on. But yeah, that's got the dorado and pintado and some of the other special ones there, including, yes, piranha. We did get fish in the rivers there. These were the type of boats. Mother was saying it was just kind of like a dinghy with an outboard here. That's basically what we had. And sometimes nets or other things would be there, and so we'd need to clean the propeller. So, you know, what's father doing that for? You know, we should be attending him and things like this, but, you know, this is just some of the things that father would do. And yes, there are sometimes piranha in the water, so you have to watch out. So we were really worried about father. This is how I said he, you know, sets up things. This is the other Korean at the farm. His son drowned the day before I got there, his 15-year-old son. So father was very embracive for him. He would make sure that he was on his boat most of the time, and you know, be giving a lot of love to his family. So that's him attending father to bait the hooks and things like this. And father used the fishing. I'll finish up very soon, so you've got more discussion time. Actually, yeah, that was something that Tim laid out for the display of the fish that father caught on Christmas Eve. But father was doing a condition so that he could actually meet the president of Brazil on Christmas Eve, and he hadn't caught anything. And so he felt that that was a spiritual condition to not see the president of Brazil. So he stayed on the farm. He didn't go to see the president, and he kept fishing instead, and that's what he caught. So he thought there was something there. Anyway, I'll keep flicking through these while discussion goes on, if you like, and so you can see a few more of the photos. But thank you for letting me have this time. I'm sorry I wasn't able to get on to Mexico and a few other things. So, questions, comments? Over to you, John.
Okay, thank you. Let's give Randall a round of applause. He's going to show us a few pictures as he goes through. Thank you. I'll just remove your spotlight so others can see. I can see others next to the pictures you're putting through. Something that I wanted to share was yeah, the time when we were there, President Yu's wife, Mrs. Yu, was there, and as Randall said, there's time people had to go up and give testimonies, and one of those times, yeah, all of the in that group there was many elder members, many you know, top leaders that we're familiar with but never got close to, and there was that time, as Randall said, that they had to go up and give their testimonies, and they all gave their testimonies one by one, and for some reason, maybe it was because I was designated as the leader of the Western group, they asked me to come up and give a testimony right after all the leaders were there, and I was totally flabbergasted. I said, I went up and actually said, I've got nothing to say. I mean, all of you great leaders are here, and I feel very humbled and to come up and speak. And all I could say is that, well, I haven't really achieved anything. I hope to achieve more in the future. All I can say is that I'm grateful to be blessed, and we have 5 kids, and that was it. And that was my testimony. And then Mrs. Yu came up after to me and spoke to me and said, "Oh, that was the best testimony." I said, "Oh, really?" So I was very encouraged by her comments. So yeah, that was something I was just remembering when he was talking about all the education, because yeah, education was a very, very big focus. You know, the school was there, and training for the farm, and training for environmental management, and you know, really building a model that was really clear there. So yes, thank you. If there's anyone else who wants to, yeah, go ahead, Randall. You're still there.
What Father's goal was to have members like myself be there for 3 years, learn farming, come back to Australia and set up a New Hope farm here. That could be a centre so that, you know, people could come from the islands and other things, and then the islanders would be able to learn how to take that and set up something in Fiji or wherever else, New Guinea. And so other people from their areas, from their countries, could be able to come in and be able to learn how to set up different farms. And this was meant to, you know, be models to take around the world, to take out to different regions, so that it could really help fix world hunger. So.
Okay. Anyone else would like to share? Yes, Doug, go ahead.
Yeah, just very briefly, we had computer problems. We couldn't get on this morning, and we missed the beginning of Randall's amazing talk. But I got there just at the point where Randall was describing the prayer condition for true parents in 95 and 96. And at that very same time, True Father was in 96 welcomed into the churches, and they asked him to give a speech so they could have an opportunity to receive true parents in America. So Father did a 50-state tour, one city every day. He was so exhausted. So on top of all that he's doing there, he was coming up to North America, and for 50 days, he exhausted himself to the point where at the end at Bridgeport University, his tongue was swollen. You couldn't hear him pronounce. He was thoroughly exhausted on stage. You could see it, you know. And Randall was saying that they were praying for his life. I didn't hear about that prayer condition, but on top of finishing that speech in Bridgeport, True Father got stuck inside the elevator, you know. So he was inside the elevator for over an hour, and he was there with the top leaders. But the story is most important because of what Father said. He had to go to the hospital for about a day. And then he said, based on those 50 states that he covered, he said, in 1996, in 50 years' time, 2/3 of all the nations will be led by presidents who are members of the Unification Church. It was a very clear and specific prophecy. So that would be 2046. That's all I wanted to share. Thank you.
Okay, well, it's coming. Thank you. It's actually time now for everyone to offer our unison prayer together. So I'll just share the screen. Okay. Let's pray together. Arju, Arju, Arju. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Thank you.
I just shared in the chat the link to find that speech if anyone wants to click on it before we finish.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Randall.
Randall.
Thank you. God bless.
Thanks, Randall.
Have a blessed Sunday.
You too, Nat.
Bye-bye.